So how's everyone doing today?
Good, good.
There was a few things that I wanted to finish from the previous chapter before we go on to this chapter. One is the idea that it's similar to what we learned. We were learning about that every person is given an oath before they're born that they're going to be righteous. So the question is, who remembers this oath? Who knows about it? Who thinks about it? And if you remember, we spoke about that every Jew on a subconscious level knows it, feels it. And this gives us strength. It's not just an oath that you took a promise to be righteous, but it's also a Mesinas Koyach. It gives us the strength. The neshama feels it. The neshama feels every day and every moment. I took an oath to Hashem, but that oath also empowers us, excuse me, to be righteous, to do the right thing. Where do we find a similar idea? In the Gemara, also, it talks about that every person in the mother's womb learns Torah with a malach, with an angel. And before you're born, the angel gives you a little nick over here under your nose by the lip, and you have a little dent, and then you forget the Torah. So the Alter Rebbe, the Baal Tanya, in Likutei Torah, he has a Chassidus on Parsha of the Week, asks this question, again, the same question. First of all, we don't remember the Torah that we learned in our mother's womb. So what's the point of learning it? Second of all, the Malach makes us forget. So you're going to learn it and then forget it. Why? Why learn it in the first place? And he explains that the reason the Malach, the angel, makes us forget it is because we need to have free choice. If each one of us would remember the Torah that we learned, there wouldn't be any free choice anymore. Obviously, every person would be righteous. Hashem made it that we should forget. So why do we learn Torah in the first place? Because that Torah that we learn, that we study with the Malach, gives us strength and light and Ava v'yira. It gives us the power to love Hashem and to fear Hashem from that Torah that we learned on a subconscious level, and it's up to us to utilize the inspiration when we learn Torah today, like we're learning right now, Tanya. So we are connecting with our neshama, how it learned Torah from the Malach, from the angel, and before in the mother's womb, and before that in Gan Eden. And why does it help? How does it help us? It inspires us. It lifts us up. We can't do this on our own. By ourselves, we wouldn't have the capacity to learn the Torah and connect with the Torah with the proper strength and the proper inspiration had we not learned Torah before. For many reasons. First of all, the world is very dark, so we wouldn't maybe even get to learn Torah. And also, even if we would study Torah, we wouldn't be able to truly connect. The reason we're able to do that is because we had already a head start in Gan Eden and then in the mother's womb with a Malach. So now it's much easier for us to reconnect with that. I heard once from Rabbi Weberman, Zayin Gesund, he's a very senior rabbi in the community. I used to daven in a shul, Mincha Ma'ariv, for many years. He used to say that it's interesting that most people, when they go to the water, they sit on a boat or they sit by the ocean, on the sand or by the boardwalk, they feel very relaxed. They feel much more tranquil. What is that feeling? Why is the water, the ocean, the lake, the river give you such a sensational feeling, such a good feeling? One second. He says, this is his interpretation, his way, perspective, that when the baby, when the infant, the the beautiful baby is in the mother's womb, it's surrounded with liquid, and it has all the tranquility and all the nourishment and all the comfort that it needs, both physically and spiritually. When a person goes to the water, it on a subconscious level, water is Torah. So water is also the liquid, like the water that was in the mother's womb, that the baby was in that environment, being fed from the mother, being protected from the mother, being nurtured from the mother. That's why we feel very comfortable and very tranquil when we go to a place where there's water, where we feel like on a subconscious level, we could feel that strength that we had in that comfortable place where we were before we were born. So again, this is similar to what we're learning here, that even though we don't remember the oath that we took to be righteous, our neshama remembers. And that gives us strength, that oath, that promise, that swearing that the neshama says to Hashem, I'm going to be righteous, empowers us to be righteous and empowers us to do the right thing. The second thing I wanted to mention, we're also talking about how we have the strength to push out a negative thought, negative speech, negative actions. So I wanted to mention what it says in the Tanya further. Later on, he quotes from the Zohar. The Zohar, the Holy Zohar says, every time you push away a bad thought, you are bringing down more Kedusha on yourself. And in other words, Hashem gave us the opportunity that when we do a mitzvah, we put on tefillin, we give tzedakah, you put up a mezuzah, you say a bracha, you say Shema, you learn Torah. All these beautiful activities generate Kedusha, reveal holiness in this world. That's why we're here, to bring holiness into this physical world and to make this world a better place for Hashem through the Kedusha that we're generating. But then there's another way of bringing down Kedusha, which is by fighting and pushing away a bad urge, a negative urge from the Yetzer Hara. And the Zohar says that by doing that, you are bringing down Kedusha. You're bringing down Kedusha, and now on yourself and to the whole world, in a sense. But that's already a different level. But we're talking about the person who is fighting his own Yetzer Hara, and now he pushed away the Sitra Achra, the bad energy of his Yetzer Hara, who wants to make him think a negative thought or do something negative. So now, right now, you generated Kedusha by doing the right thing and fighting and pushing away the negative, the bad thing. And from this Kedusha, from this holiness, which is bestowed upon you, which is coming upon you by you pushing away the bad stuff, the bad urge, now you have more strength to do more mitzvahs and to be more closer to Hashem, because you just did something amazing to serve Hashem. So it's like, if you want to give an example, it's like a soldier or a policeman that they went through a heavy task, a dangerous mission, and they come back and they receive a medallion, a reward, and they're promoted to a higher level. Well, every time you fight your Yetzer Hara and you win him and you push him away, even though he's going to come back again, you are being rewarded here and on a higher level, at that Hashem is proud of you, that you were able to do something something significant for Hashem, and you will carry with you this kedusha to go forward. And this leads us to the next point that I wrote to you in the email, which we're starting now, chapter 15 in the Tanya. And he talks here about an Oved Elikim la'asher lo yavodu, that a person who serves Hashem, he says Oved lashon hoive, shu be'emtza ha'avoda, she'amelchama ma'yetzer hara l'sgaber elav, u'legarsha yimeir k'tan. That Oved is lashon, it's current, it's happening now. Not that he's a servant of Hashem because of the past and present, and therefore he needs to work hard every day to be a Oved Elikim. So let's talk for a few minutes about this beautiful level of a servant of Hashem. Oved is like Eved, but Eved is the noun, and Oved is also the verb. He is serving Hashem now. How is he serving Hashem now? By becoming committed. Every day we have to commit ourselves more to know that what Hashem wants from me, I'm going to do. Unconditional. That's what a soldier needs to do. In Hasidus Chabad, especially in the previous Rebbe's talks, and from his father, the Rebbe Rashab, all the tzaddikim of Chabad and the Rebbe, they talk a lot about being a soldier for Hashem. A soldier is different. It's a different level. A soldier is a soldier 24/7. Even when he sleeps, he has to be ready to serve and to go to do something for the army. Even if it's of course it's not comfortable. He's hungry. He's tired. It's dangerous. No matter what, the soldier is committed unconditionally. Well, the previous Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab, his father, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, and the previous Rebbe and our Rebbe, when they established the Lubavitch Yeshiva in 1897 in Lubavitch, the Rebbe Rashab said, he said, there's no shortage of people learning Torah in Russia. There were always people learning Torah in Poland, in Russia, in Eastern Europe, and all over. So what's the need to establish a yeshiva? He said, I want the students to be chayolim b'beis David. I want them to be soldiers in the house of David, in the army of King David HaMelech. And he explained that it says in the Gemara that the soldiers of King David, before they would go out to war, they would write a get. They would write a divorce to their wife on a condition that if they don't come back from the war, their wife should not be in limbo. She should not be an aguna. If they come back from the front, from the war, then it's null and void. Then it's canceled. So the get was written on a t'nai, on a condition. But the Rebbe Rashab used
Can I
this.
ask you a question, Rabbi?
Yes.
Okay, are you saying that before the soldier would go off to war, that he would make a divorce paper from the wife, so that
Yes.
if he didn't, but I don't understand. If he passed away, then she's still not married to him, or is she?
No, maybe he'll be taken in captivity. Maybe he
Oh,
won't.
I understand. I understand.
He'll be a hostage, and then he won't be able to have communication.
Okay, I
Okay.
understand.
So,
Sorry.
Problem. Nothing to be sorry. You have to ask. So then you get the answer.
I couldn't understand why that would be. Now I understand.
I appreciate you asking, because you ask, you're making it more clear for you, for me, and for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the Rebbe Rashab said that his
Rabbi,
yeah.
I'm just thinking you're saying Chayale based David, the soldiers in the army of King David,
Yeah,
spells Chabad.
right.
I never realized.
Yeah. Well, of course, that's one of the acronyms of Chabad. So thank you again. Thank you for bringing it up. The beautiful. So Chayale based David, the Rebbe Rashab said every chassid, but primarily those who learn in the yeshiva, and when they go out of the yeshiva, you continue to be a soldier. And he said, I want the yeshiva bachrim to be neiros lehoyer. They should be lamplighters. Every Jew who is a candle of Hashem, and with this candle, you have to light up more candles. Every neshama is like a candle, and you got to light up the neshamas of other Jews. But you don't have to be a Lubavitch chassid or a shliach or shlucha to do this. Every person has this ability, has this strength, because all of us carry with us the candle of Hashem, the light of Hashem. And the other Jew also has a candle. It just needs to be ignited or illuminated and lit. So together, my candle, your candles, together, all of our candles together, we create a torch. And with this torch, he said, we're going to burn down the walls of Golus. The Golus, the exile is a big problem. It's a big helam vehester. It's a big concealment on godliness, and it needs to be consumed. And it's going to be consumed from the fire of Hashem. How do we get this fire stronger and bigger? By learning Torah, by doing mitzvahs, by doing it together. This is also what I wrote to you in the notes, that there's a great benefit of learning Torah together like we're doing here on this platform. By davening together, you come to shul. By doing mitzvahs together, we learn from each other. I'm a shliach for over 30 years. I wouldn't be the same person if I hadn't had so many interactions with so many good people. Because you grow from learning from other people's examples. It says a person who, in the Pirkei Avos, a person who is not willing to learn from others, he's not smart. He's a fool. Who's wise? Who's smart? Someone who's willing to learn from every person. Why didn't the Mishnah say who's wise? Someone who knows the whole Shas. Someone who knows the Zohar. Doesn't say that. Of course, you have to learn and know, have a lot of knowledge to be smart, to be wise, to be a sage. But that's not enough. You have to be willing to learn from every person, to see the good in every person, and to connect with every person in their pnimius and their neshama and say, what can I learn from this person in my avodas Hashem? And this is something that we see in the army, especially in the Israeli army. I'm not going into all the politics, but the people in the army, the soldiers, they are supposed to be unconditionally loyal to each other. That means if, God forbid, a soldier sees his brother, they call each other brothers, his fellow soldier in danger, and there's a bullet, and he could avoid it, he has to, even if it means that he might lose his life, he has to do it. There were many instances of people that they mamish lost their life saving another person's life. Not only a soldier, there were others who did it in other situations. But in the army, that's expected from you. That's the level that Hashem wants to see, if we could live up to that level on by serving Hashem with strength and with Torah and mitzvahs and Chassidus is really pushing us to go to that level all the time. And I told you already that the Rebbe Rashab, the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe, going back from the Alter Rebbe, Chabad Hasidus and the Chabad teachings and standard is a very high standard. You can't be a Chassid and just based on like you'll how you feel today. Today I'm in the mood, I'm a Chassid. Tomorrow I'm not in the mood, I'm not a Chassid. It doesn't work like that. Again, this is by all the Hasidim and all the people who follow Torah. But I'm saying by Hasidus, especially in Chabad, there was more of a demand that you have to demand from yourself. What's doing with myself? Am I doing enough? Or I can do a little bit better or a lot better? And why am I not pushing myself to do better? So this going back to Oved Elikim, to this beautiful feeling of being a soldier for Hashem, a servant for Hashem, and that you have to fight and be strong to push away the negative things and to motivate yourself to do more. To say I want to wake up in the morning with more strength and with more conviction and commitment to serve Hashem. I'm not gonna be lazy. And all the mitzvahs that we do, we should enhance them, and we should enhance and increase in our service to Hashem. That's an Oved Elikim. He explains over here that the person who we're dealing with, the Beinani, which we were trying to be a Beinani, we want to be a righteous person and a person who's going in this track and in this system. So he says the Beinani, this person who is struggling with the Yetzer Hara, but he's pushing him away. He has the strength from Hashem, and we have the inspiration and the influence from each other, because we're not living in a vacuum, and this gives us a lot of motivation. So when we talk about the learning of Tanya, the Tanya, it says, is here to strengthen us and to inspire us that we should do it b'simcha. And this leads me to the next point about a soldier. So I'm sure most of you know that in Russia, about 200 years ago, there was a big problem for the Jewish population. The Russian government decided that they want to take away by force Jewish children when they're 10 years old, 8 years old, whatever, from 8 to 12, and bring them into the Russian army for 25 years minimum. And like this, they'll solve the problem of the Jewish people being so influential. They'll cut it down. And these were called, there was a bad situation, very terrible. It's called Kantonistan. I don't know the exact translation of it, but these were the Jews who were forced to be in the Russian army for a minimum of 25 years, and ripped away from their families completely, and they were forced to become goyim. And many of them, unfortunately, gave in. Many of them committed suicide, and some, not many, but I mean, I don't know the percentage, but remained loyal to their faith. And even after 5 years of abuse and big trouble, big pressure on them, physically, mentally, it was an impossible situation. They remained loyal to their Jewish identity. So, at one time, the Tzemach Tzedek, the third Lubavitcher Rebbe of Menachem Mendel, had an opportunity that the government allowed him and through to come and speak to these soldiers in their camp. And they invited him. They requested that the rabbi, the tzaddik, should come and speak to them. And he came, and he was very emotional to see them. And he started to cry. So they said to him, Rebbe, don't cry. We are happy. We're besimcha. They said the following: when we go to the front, when we go to fight, we don't go with a sad feeling. We go with a march of victory. We sing a song because we need to feel victorious even before we start the war. We have to feel that we're going to have the triumph. We're going to win. We're not losers. If we walk like losers, if we feel like losers, we're going to be losers. And the Rebbe said, it's the Rebbe Menachem Mendel, the Tzemach Tzedek, said to them, you people have uplifted me and gave me comfort and taught me a great lesson. I'm talking about someone who was a giant in Torah and in tzidkis and holiness. He said, I learned something today from you guys. The strength that you gave me, which you have to go with your happiness, your inner happiness and your positive feeling that you want to be Jews and nothing's going to stop you. This, he says, I had to come from Lubavitch to talk to you and to interact and to see you and interact with you, to learn firsthand what is the strength of a soldier. So when we talk about us, Chabad, Chayole Beis David, and for that matter, whoever's learning Tanya, the Alter Rebbe, by teaching us about an Oved Elikim, a servant to Hashem, that's similar to a soldier. He's empowering us and inspiring us that we are his soldiers, the Hashem soldiers. But we need the inspiration. So you learn the Tanya, you get the inspiration. Because the Alter Rebbe is writing to us and speaking to us through his writing. I told you, he spent 20 years on the Tanya. That he knows what the difficulties and the challenges of a Jew. He knows that it's difficult, and it's not easy. But he says, if you decide that you want to be an Oved Elikim, and you ask Hashem for strength, and you're going to also have your fellow soldiers, your fellow Jews that are with you, whether it's in shul or on the Zoom learning Tanya, or doing a mitzvah with another person, whoever it is, you're interacting with another good person, you will give each other strength. And the final point that we learned at the beginning of the Tanya, that even if the whole world tells you you're righteous, you should say, in your eyes, you should feel that you're not righteous. How could it be that you should argue with the whole world? Everyone tells you, so accept it. So we see an interesting concept here, that not always do we listen to everyone's opinion if we are following Torah, even if the whole world is telling us something else. We don't deviate from the Torah. We don't forget that the Torah is emes, and the world and the people in the world are not so emes. So we stick with the emes. And how does a Jew have the power not to listen? How do you have the strength to be different? Oh, that strength comes from Hashem. That strength comes from the strength that Hashem invested and infuses the neshama with His strength. The neshama is an extension of Hashem, and therefore we're not on our own. We're not independent. We're plugged in all the time with the source of energy. This gives us the power and the inspiration. And even if the whole world says you're something, take a position, we have to know what the Torah says, what Hashem says in the Torah, what we need to do. And we have the strength to go against the tide. And this we find in many, many examples throughout the Torah, throughout Jewish history, that the people who didn't listen to the nonsense of the world remained holy and were blessed. Just one example, even before Avraham Avinu, Noach, everyone was going crazy. The only one that stood tall and stood strong and did not bend was Noach. Who was saved? Noach and his children. Same thing with Avraham Avinu. It says, why is it called Avraham Ivri? Everyone was on one side, and everyone made fun of him, or they said he's wrong. He doesn't. Why is he being different? We're all idol worshippers, including his father. He said, no, it's wrong. I know what's right. I'm going to do what's right. So it says in Chassidus that Avraham Avinu and Noach, they were blessed to be able to figure it out on their own, so to speak. But later on, since Hashem gave us the Torah at Mount Sinai, it's much easier now. We have the tools. We have the strength to keep strong and in being inspired and inspire others, and to learn from others, to be together and to say to Hashem, I am your servant, I'm your Oved Elikim, I'm your soldier, and I'm committing myself every day as much as I can to do Hashem's will. I want to wish everyone a Shavua Tov, good week, good Tavach, and a lot of happiness for all of Am Yisrael. Thank you.
Rabbi.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Good to luck,
Very well.
buddy.
Thank you, Rabbi Dolphin.
Everyone.
Thank you, Rabbi Dolphin.